Evidence for evolution is important because it provides proof for the theory of evolution. Evidences include fossil records, developmental similarities, anatomical evidence, biogeography, and observed evolution. The most important, though, is molecular homology because it compares the protein structure of different organisms. In this picture, I'm demonstrating observed evolution by showing how when people use insecticides, some individuals survive and reproduce more resistant offspring. Speciation is the creation of a new species. In order for a new species to be created, a population must become isolated. There are prezygotic barriers and postzygotic barriers that can cause speciation. Prezygotic barriers include geographic isolation, either sympatric or allopatric, temporal isolation, behavioral isolation, mechanical isolation, and gametic isolation. Postzygotic barriers include reduced hybrid viability, which is when hybrids are sterile, and hybrid breakdown is when the second generation of hybrids are sterile. This picture demonstrates sympatric speciation, which is when a new species is created while still living in the same area as its ancestor species. The endosymbiotic theory is the theory that mitochondria and chloroplasts were once free living bacteria. They were engulfed by a large cell, and instead of being digested, they became an endosymbiont. This theory explains how prokaryotic cells evolved to become eukaryotic. Evidence for this theory is that mitochondria and chloroplasts have a double membrane, they produce their own DNA, they have their own ribosomes, they produce their own energy, and they can reproduce individually. My picture is showing a large prokaryotic cell about to engulf a smaller prokaryotic cell. Lipids include fats, phospholipids, and steroids. They are long hydrocarbon chains that do not form polymers. Fats store energy and insulate the body. Saturated fats have no double bonds, but unsaturated fats have some. Phospholipids are a major component of the cell membrane, and they have a hydrophilic head and a hydrophobic tail, making them amphipathic. Cholesterol and sex hormones are the two important steroids. Cholesterol keeps the cell membrane fluid, and testosterone and estrogen are sex hormones. My picture shows a saturated and unsaturated fat at room temperature. Saturated fats stay solid, but unsaturated fats turn to liquid at room temperature. Prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells both have ribosomes, cell membrane, DNA, and cytoplasm. Prokaryotic cells lack membrane-bound organelles, they have no nucleus, and they are much smaller than eukaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells, on the other hand, have a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles, and they are multicellular. They both reproduce asexually, prokaryotes using binary fission, and eukaryotes using mitosis. My picture shows a eukaryote next to a prokaryote, much bigger and with organelles. Enzymes are biological catalysts made of amino acids that speed up metabolic reactions by lowering the activation energy, which is the amount of energy required to start a reaction. All enzymes have unique active sites for substrates to bind to. They are reusable, have optimal temperature and pH, and are helped by activators and by inhibitors. My picture shows me as an enzyme lowering the activation energy for a reaction.